Hey tribe, it's the Kindred Keys here today with another beautiful collective reading for you. This one is the Mother Tree reading that we did in South Carolina at a really magical spot by the water. Alicia and I had such a good time there. We were singing to the dragonflies and fairing around the forest. So we can't wait to share this reading with you. There's a lot of synchronicities, a lot of magic within, and we just pray that you are open to receive these messages. Take time to breathe them in and really allow your intuition to play here in this space with us. So, the first card we're going to start off with is Sensuality. And this is all about the feminine wisdom and passion. Okay, you can see here this beautiful goddess in the arms of a powerful tiger, a big cat. And there is this strong feeling around the power of being a woman and having feminine energy, even if you're not a woman, right? We all have both energies. This intuitive capability, this womb space of creation, this passion that is just blazing in all of us. And so this card speaks a lot about kind of stopping and smelling the roses, using your senses, remembering what it is to be human involves having fun, involves playing, involves feeling good. And so this card is really bringing us into that space of allowing that in our lives, slowing down enough to actually notice these things around us, right? If Lish and I went to this magical place in South Carolina and we weren't in our feminine energy, we would have missed so much magic. We would not have seen all of the amazing things that we witnessed. And so we're really being called here to tap into that power. And also remembering that there is adventure to be had when we take risks, when we step outside of that comfort zone. And there is a lot of intuitive gifts and practices that we can bring into these spaces when we tap into our feminine wisdom. Another piece of this was also talking about kind of motherhood, and not just in the sense of physical motherhood, but in our devotion to our creations. So this could be to a project, to a passion, something that we're working on, our dreams, our goals, and even just ourselves. And remembering how important it is to be devoted to that, to love ourselves, to love our projects, and to make space and time for these things, to nurture them properly. Um, and really just remember in our divine feminine energy that we have this gentle side, but we also have this really powerful side. And so that's what this card shows. It's really beautiful. You can see the gentle power that exists in this energy here. So, Lish, I'd love to toss this over to you if you have anything to add to this particular message.
I think you touched on a lot of what I was thinking for that card. I love that it's about like the divine feminine wisdom that we all carry, not just females. I think it's an important time for everybody right now to really try to slow down and tap into what that means for each of us. Um, it doesn't mean you have to be, all girly and quiet. Like there's power there as well. Um, and a big thing that I kept hearing as you were talking is, what is your passion? What are you passionate about in your life? I think that's really an important thing throughout this reading that I've felt so far, is this big thing about passion and what that means to each and every one of you guys that are watching. So I just love that card. It's beautiful. The next card we have is Gathering Around the Power of Community. And you can see there's a bunch of little fairies around, a bunch of mushrooms that are lit up. And this is all about community, finding your community, feeling supported in your life, being able to ask for help if you need help in your life. If you're going through a time where you feel alone, know that you're never alone. There are always unseen things around us, whether you believe in that or not. I really truly believe there are, could be past loved ones. Um, so this card is really about trying to find your community, try to um, find your home where you feel comfortable and loved and held. I think at the retreat we found a really beautiful sisterhood, and you can't match that type of energy. So it's really important for us to find that time to find community and find people that are going to support us. Even if we have a crazy dream or something we want to follow, we want people that are going to lift us up and believe in us, and also believe in ourselves. So I'll pass it over.
Yes, I love everything you said. I love that card. It's so pretty. It's really bringing a lot of growth energy and a lot of co-creation when we find our tribe, when we connect with our community, really tuning into the medicine that we have for each other. And when, Alicia mentioned our Mother Tree retreat recently, in that sisterhood that we built together, it was so beautiful and intimate. And each one of us had a piece of the puzzle for each other. Each one of us had medicine to give and medicine to receive. And it was, the ego shields were down. It was not about somebody being a leader or, someone, being the medicine person and having the medicine. It was really this beautiful, equal sharing and this humbleness. And so I love this card for us. I think this is really important in following our dreams because if we don't have those connection points and those people to bounce ideas off of and people that we can trust that can lift us up, we're all going to go through times where we need a little support and we have to be open to ask for help and also receive that help. So, yeah, that's amazing. Such a beautiful message there. And I pray that each of you that are here receiving this reading find your community. And if you already have your community, deepen your connections even further into that space. So, the next card that we're going to be talking about that came up is lavender. And this is all about weaving. I love this card. If you can see here, I don't know if the camera's picking up, but there is a spider web here. And when Alicia and I go and do grid work, we always have Grandmother Spider showing up. And part of her showing up for me, it has been really the storytelling, and the creation magic. And so, in seeing this, to me, this is representing this golden web that we're all weaving together, and how divinely connected, how much synchronicity is there. And it's just so infinite. And we have to also speak about that higher power. I say God, some people say Great Spirit, whatever that is, replace the word with what resonates for you. But that higher power there that's orchestrating the weaving of that web and knowing every little thread, every little golden sparkle that's going through there, having that foresight. And then us here weaving along, co-creating together, having that love in our hearts and having that gratitude for the magic that it is to be a part of this beautiful web. Some of the things that are also mentioned in regards to this card is, the discipline and the focus that it requires to weave, to be a weaver, how important it is to be centered in that way, and also a strong piece of movement in this card. You can see the flowers kind of, you can almost feel like wind moving through this card because there's this beautiful movement here, her hair flowing with the wind. And she's got a musical instrument here, kind of like a harp or a lyre. So just this feeling around movement and this spiral energy that's really popping out for me through this card. What about you, Lish?
So I love the word weaving here because weaving has been coming up for my life, and like since the retreat, that's like a big word that keeps coming through, is this weaving piece and this golden web that we all weave that you mentioned. And it kind of connects back to that community when we really like get together and we really like follow our hearts and we listen to our soul's calling, we can really weave some beautiful things. And so I just love that card. I think it's beautiful. This reading feels like there's a lot of movement here if you choose to take the steps to, take that movement, take that action. So I love that. The next card we have is Willow the Wisp. Treasures Hidden in the Shadows. And this card is all about um, kind of going into the unknown, taking that leap, trusting in the unseen. There is so much information out there when we really like get present, when we really slow down, when we really listen to our soul's voice. Um, Amazing information can come through for us. So try to slow down, take some deep breaths, go out in nature and really tune in and see what your soul is asking for, see what is out there for you, see what is ready to kind of be shown to you. um this is also about like unmasking yourself, really being your authentic self. And it's okay to be your authentic self, so take down those masks, um and tune in. So I'll pass it on.
Wow, that's a really pretty card. I love the balance of the dark and light in the card and the brightness of where you see the face coming through in the light. I'm really reminded, Lish, about we're going to go deep here on this one and be a little personal. Lish and I hosted a retreat we keep speaking about. That's what the Mother Tree is all about. And this is where we did the reading right after we were driving home from the retreat in South Carolina. And the day before we left, the final day of the retreat experience, which was our most important day, we felt because it was we were going on our pilgrimage to the mother tree, to the angel oak tree. Alicia and I both experienced some shadow work. We both had some real reflections that we were moving through at the same time. This is part of why we're the Kindred Keys, because we are very connected in this way. We are real blood sisters. We're only 18 months apart, so we might as well be twins. And so we really have experienced a lot of things together. We really feel together. We're really connected by our blood and our lineage. And so, and this happens even when you're not, right? Because we're all kind of mirrors and reflections of each other. So as we were holding space at the retreat, we had these moments of just questioning our abilities, questioning, is this something we can do? Do we want to do this again? Maybe kind of facing that shadow of are we good enough and our self-worth. And it was really interesting because we both ended up getting the answers and responses from guests at the retreat telling us, without them knowing we were going through this, giving us this medicine of what an amazing experience they had and how special it was, how life-changing it was, how safe they felt with us, how comfortable they felt, how humble we were as leaders, like all this amazing feedback that we received. And it was exactly what Lish and I needed in these moments, in these sacred moments during the retreat. And afterwards, on our drive home, Alicia and I, we did a lot of reflection. We did a lot of taking notes, right? Like, what are we going to do different next time? What have we learned? What do we want to do the same? What did we do really well? And so, this aspect of shadow work and how important it is to let those egos down, feel these things when they come up. Don't get upset at ourselves. Don't feel like, why are we going through this? There's a reason, there's a purpose. Like there's this divine orchestration always for us to be learning through these processes. Then the shadow brings forward, the triggers bring forward the most powerful parts work that we can do, the most powerful deep diving that we can do. Even though it's sometimes for a lot of people the hardest because it's uncomfortable. It feels like, oh, we're past that point. We should, right? That's our ego. We shouldn't be feeling like that. And we're already holding this retreat. Why do we feel this way, right? But we're human. And it's the spiral journey that we're all on as we grow and learn. And so I really got a huge kind of activation back to that point here, Lish, with that card of how important those moments were. And then now after, we've done some amazing planning for our next retreat as to what we learned. And it's like made us even better at showing up for our next co-creation. So really excited about that. And it's a great segue actually into this card that we received, which was Dragon's Blood. And it says Anima Mundi. The Dragon's Blood card it speaks a lot about this void, about the great unknown, about the darkness. And there is a way of finding comfort there. And it can really help you kind of move into that next chapter, that next space, that next lesson, whatever it is that you're calling in for yourself, really connecting in and allowing the unknown. Because in the unknown, the orchestration, the divine orchestration, what I call God's plan, is always better than our own. We can never, like, we don't have, right? This is why I love figuring out what's my job and what's God's job. It takes a lot of weight off our shoulders when we realize, hey, this is not ours to carry. Like, this is beyond our control. And that's where the excitement lies. That's where we find things that are, wow, blowing our minds, right? The magic, the things that we could never create in our own mind. And so this card is all about that supernatural, that gateway to the soul of the world, and the hidden knowledge that is here when we start to tap into those spaces of, unknown, of a little fear, of a little discomfort, right? Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable is really key in this journey. Lish, what do you think about this Dragon's Blood? We had some synchronicities with the retreat as well with this coming up.
Yeah, so Dragon's Blood was a part of the retreat, but also Dragon's Blood is a beautiful, I use it for cleansing. It's great for cleansing your energy or your space. And I loved everything you said about that. I mean, stepping into the unknown can be very uncomfortable. It can be very scary, but I really believe that's where the true magic happens. I mean, sometimes it's so mind blowing once you get there because you're so scared to go there, and then you get put there sometimes without even trying to go there. And it really turns into something beautiful. So honestly, if all this didn't happen in my life where I stepped into the uncomfortable, the Kindred Keys wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have just hosted a retreat. We wouldn't be planning our next one. So it really is about going there and seeing what unravels for you. So I just love that. The next card we have is number 34, Keeper of Dance. And these cards are just so beautiful. But this card is all about dancing in your life, being your authentic self. Dance through the anger, dance through the sadness, dance through the joy. Just dance whenever you have emotions that come up. Um, Life isn't easy sometimes, and it really matters the way we show up in our life. And if we can put this play around it, even in the bad things, it really helps us to live a more peaceful life. um and also, this is like about embodiment, about looking at who you really want to be. Put down the masks again, like I was saying in the other card. It talks about really walking as your authentic self and not having judgment about yourself. We are all created differently. We are all amazing the way we are. And so to really show up in our own power and in our own way.
Well, I love that deck. We know this already. It's definitely a favorite. That card is it's bringing a lot of that playful energy, and this was a big key piece to the retreat. We knew that, and it's a big key piece to the Kindred Keys. Alicia and I, because we grew up together, and maybe missed out on some of our childhood based on our childhood situation. We're really keen on that inner child, on bringing forward the play. And we also have a lot of fairy energy within us, if you can't tell. And so, this is a big piece of what the Kindred Keys brings to the table, to our offerings. We love to create, we love to play, we love to have fun. We love to ferry around the forest and just witness the magic of creation, the wonder that surrounds us. And that card really speaks into that. And we learned an amazing lesson at the retreat around grief and the importance of play, the importance of joy, the importance of laughing and smiling, and what a really powerful medicine it is for something as deep as grief. And so when we realized, like, wow, we were going to be working with grief, it wasn't a plan. This was God's plan. This wasn't ours. It was orchestrated divinely for us to work on grief during this retreat. Alicia and I both were like, ooh, Okay, that's not something we really have a background in. Like, how is this going to work? And did we study? Did we look it up? No, because we knew we were taken care of. We knew this was orchestrated. And so when we realized and had this, moment of, what do you want to say? Creation magic of, oh, we are already bringing that medicine. It's the play, it's the fun, it's the joy, it's the sisterhood. And so the dancing to me is just a reminder of that, like Alicia was speaking of, moving the body. Why do you think so many ancient tribes and civilizations danced? Why is it always such a piece of many spiritual practices is dance, right? Because our bodies and the movement of our bodies is sacred. This is a sacred vessel. And when we move it, we're moving energy. We're giving thanks with our body, with our movement. And it brings forward healing. It brings forward, even sometimes, some civilizations would, receive visions and things like this, or do it to bring rain, right? To work with God and to put prayers into the earth. It's a really strong medicine, this dance. And so if you have that within you, use it. The power of music and the power of movement is just so beautiful. I love that card. And actually, it's also another good segue. Look at this card, the Page of Wands. Definitely, Lish noticed this looks like she's dancing here, right? She's throwing the wand up into the sky, very carefree, very happy, a lot of joy, right? A lot of solar plexus energy coming in here with the colors. And so this Page of Wands card is bringing forward this creative flow, this fun, this play that we're talking about, and also the inspiration and the potential behind our movement, our creative energy, our creation space, and our womb space. And even if you're a man, you have creation energy. You have a womb space there. It might not be physical, right? But you create from that space. And so we're really being reminded with this card to let go of any limiting beliefs, um, any blockages that might be getting in your way, especially around timing. Okay, so remembering about divine timing, remembering to give yourself grace and space, and what we learned big time, Alicia and I, during the retreat, do not compare yourself to others. We are all different. We are all trailblazers. We are all doing our own thing. We're bringing our own piece of the puzzle. So when we compare and we look at somebody else and say, oh, well, that person, went viral overnight and has, 10,000 followers and selling out their retreats. We're not on the same path. We're not here to do the same things. So just letting go of those comparison, kind of envy spirits, and really believing in yourself, showing up for yourself. What do you think, Lish?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that actually that card as she's throwing up that wand. The wand actually looks like a sewing needle to me from here. So it reminds me of that weaving again. And it's what do you want to weave right now in your life? And then look at her. She's not even looking where she threw it. So it's really about trusting these feelings. What is this feeling you want to create? And how can you make it happen? And then trust and believe that you're going to be supported to make it happen. That's what I get from that card. And I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So the next card we have is 24, Keeper of Flow. And this card is all about kind of flowing with life and really looking at things in your life and what in your life is bringing you joy and what in your life is maybe keeping you small. And sometimes we have to, when we're on this healing journey or we're on a journey of remembering or becoming, we have to look at our life and see what really fits. And sometimes we have to let go of the control because some things aren't meant to stay in our life. So this card is really all about trying to flow with your life, releasing the control, um, not holding too tightly to things, even if it's scary to let them go. We can really overcome so many things in our life if we really just trust and believe and flow with life. So I'll pass it on.
Yeah, I keep getting drawn to that flame at the top of the tree. And, Lish and I work a lot with trees, our mother tree here around this particular reading. And in general, in our journeys, in our grid working and going to our kind of Celtic ancestor origins, we both went to Ireland and separately on separate trips, and then we went to Scotland together, and we worked very much around the sacred tree of life. And this was a really big piece within even what we did with the mother tree retreat and this connection to kind of the each of us being our own tree, our own wise one, and how our roots, are firmly in the ground, how our branches are connecting up, to the heavens and bringing that kind of allowing for the divine messages to flow in, and also how that tree represents our own ancestry and our lineage and the connection points there as well. So it's kind of a big kind of multi-dimensional aspect to what we're talking about, but seeing that flame at the top, it really brings me back to the passion that keeps coming up in this reading and igniting and lighting that passion and the flow of that, right? Because I know like Alicia and I, for a while, we wanted to make this co-creation. We knew we were going to do something. We kept feeling it. We didn't know what. We went through different names and everything where we divinely landed on, the kindred keys together. And it required a lot of flow. It required a lot of letting go. Her and I both needed to compromise when you're co-creating in partnership a lot, in relationships, in business, whatever it may be for you. There is a need to like kind of bend and flex and sometimes go with the flow. And I can remember so many different times, even like on our trip in Scotland, having these moments of, things didn't go how we planned. We were supposed to get to the ferry and go to this place at this time, and we ended up at the wrong, cemetery to do this thing that we trying to find this grave site. And it was so funny because in the moment you're like, oh my God, it's not going how we planned. But when you go back and you look upon it, later in the evening, we would go back and like, wow, that was part of the orchestration because if we didn't do that at this time, we couldn't have done this, and it all flowed the right way. And so it was a lot of learning of like letting go, like what Lish was talking about, letting go and releasing those expectations, the things that we get attached to physically, and always having that faith and knowing that we'll end up exactly where we need to be, exactly when we need to be there. And this is really helpful also around time, because if you're anything like me, you may have some, what do you want to say, little races against time, or you're always feeling like you're, rushing against a clock. And being able to remember this flow piece. Lish has been really helpful for me as well. Something that I feel like she's she's definitely been practicing a lot and is a really good little angel on my shoulder when I'm in the car, like, oh, I gotta go. And it brings me right back to the next card that is all about time. So I am gonna cover up. There is a beautiful woman here sitting in the middle. It's almost like a sundial here in the middle of the card. And then we have some tribal people down here. And this is actually a beetle upside down on the bottom. These cards are very interesting. But you're asked to really kind of feel into the images of what it brings for you. But the meaning behind this card is all about time. It's called Time Striker. And it talks a lot about reflection, right? Like looking back around along our paths, um, having a different perspective, so to speak, and looking upon that, and also giving yourself space. And this is what we were just talking about with the divine timing and the flow, is being willing to kind of relinquish and let go in these moments where maybe our 3D self is getting a little bit, hung up on the minutia and the plan and everything that we had for expectations, and really being willing to take a step back and surrender and give that to God. So, Lish, do you want to speak on this one?
Yeah, I mean, with time, I've had to come to learn that I have to kind of let go of, yes, sometimes you need to be on time for certain things, but if you're a little bit late, it's not the end of the world. And um, a lot of people believe that time isn't even real. It's something that was created. So try to slow down in your life. Life is so fast paced and our minds are always busy. We're always rushing. But sometimes if we get held back or we're going to be late, there's a reason for it. Maybe we are running late because we just avoided a car accident. Maybe there's something that happened. I mean, there's a divine plan. So it's like letting go of that that 3D mind, that time is like such a pressure to us, um and trying to go with the flow like the last card. It's really, I think, important for us to slow down and really kind of flow. The next card we have is going to be release the petals, transformation, death and rebirth, shedding and all change. So this is also such a beautiful card. This is about release. So, what in your life needs to be released right now so you can have a rebirth and you can have some type of transformation? This is so important. And I feel like we are constantly doing this death and rebirth cycle throughout our life. I don't think that it's something you do once. Like, I feel like you're always learning and growing and becoming a different person. Um, so you can go through these deaths and rebirths. So this card is just really asking you to kind of look and shed anything that isn't serving you anymore, isn't helping you on your journey. Maybe there's something you've been working on and it's just frustrating you. Maybe put it down for a while and try something else. This card is really about like this change and this rebirth. So I think it's such a beautiful card.
Yeah, I'm being called around the shedding just because I know how uncomfortable that can be. And if you think about even like a snake trying to shed, or if you've ever watched like a lizard shed, it can take time and it can be maybe not a very glamorous kind of experience. And so I know when I was in Costa Rica for the silent meditation retreat I did, I was actually guided to like throw my old self down the river, but it was like the most peaceful thing because I was guided, I was held, um, by God in that moment. I was shown that this is what I needed to do, and she was going to be okay, and that I could give thanks to her and honor her, for where she got me, but that it was time to move on to that next chapter. And so there is this level of grief that comes in around the shedding, and around the letting go and the releasing, and just knowing that that grief is okay, and allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to move through those feelings, right? We have to feel it to heal it. So the last thing you want to do is bury all of that in the shedding process. So just really honoring where you are, and giving thanks and having that gratitude for how far you've gotten, and from in that place, and being willing to let go from there. So the next card that we have is, I'm going to try to keep this covered. Some of these are a little explicit, but it's basically a woman meditating above and below a Kuan Yin statue. And the name of this card is Ascension. And so this really talks about kind of that higher path, wanting to connect with the divine, wanting to be aligned to that connection with God, with that higher power, whatever insert that word that you use for that higher power. But it's all about a commitment and passion for self, in doing that, in that path of self mastery, having grace and patience with yourself along that path, because we are human, knowing that perfectionism is an illusion, right? We were created divinely. I like to say perfectly imperfect. So that is what I have for this card list. Do you want to share?
I loved everything you said. I think it's really, giving yourself grace and um, trusting in yourself. And yeah, I loved everything you said. It was just beautiful. And that brings me to one of my last cards, and it's the crowning. This says intuition, thresholds, birth, rebirth, and a seat at the table. So this card to me is all about birthing something, about creation. I feel like there's something that maybe you have a passion for that is wanting to be shared with the world, and it's time, and you're being initiated to kind of have a seat at the table and share your beautiful gifts with the world. So I think it's there's a little baby down here actually, and it has like a staircase up here too, so it reminds me of the Ascension card as well. So it's like an initiation and for those creations. It's time. The world needs us right now. If you are on this journey and you feel like you are here to do something big, you are. So step up. It's time.
Wow, that's a powerful message, sis. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel that personally because I feel like there's things that I've been kind of putting on the back burner, and it's like, no, get a move on it. You got to take action. And part of that birthing process is uncomfortable. If you think about birth in general, just like we were talking about with the shedding, it's like squeezing and moving, and a woman in real labor, you're going to hear like screaming, and it is like this next level multidimensional portal. And so really being willing to again get uncomfortable, face your fears, and stretch, allow yourself to really give birth to this creation, whatever it is. We're not talking about necessarily a physical baby. We're talking about your passion, your dream, your goals, or even this next version of yourself, that we were talking about with the shedding. So I think that's really beautiful, and that is an ascension ladder to me. As you co-create with God, and you bring forward what your prophecy is. This is what we're all being called to do right now, right? This is part of the rainbow prophecy. So I love that because it goes really well with my last card, which is the Chariot. This is all talking about movement. This is talking about, being willing to take action, right? Determination, success, confidence. These are the words that we want to have here. And then making sure we don't, lose sight of our willpower, that we don't get, a lack of self-discipline, a lack of focus, right? You see him up here. He's like looking ahead. He's having to, have this balance of the feminine, masculine, the yin and yang here, really finding a place to be able to move steadily. And it's a very fast moving energy. Also, this feeling around maybe some travel too for some of you. That might be in your cards, is being willing to take that jump into some travel. Alicia and I know firsthand the magic, the ancestral curses that we've broken, the things that we've activated by getting on these lands of our ancestors, by doing grid work. So you may be getting called to do some of these things. So hold on tight, buckle up, Buttercup. What do you think, Lish?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said was perfect. A big thing that stands out to me in that card is the black and white horse. So having balance with the divine masculine and feminine. It is about movement. It's about taking action. If we have something we want in our life, or we have a dream, we have to take action. You have to take steps. It's not just going to come to you without you. You might have to sacrifice something too. It's not this journey is not easy. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes you question it, but I think this whole reading kind of came together as trusting in your divine gifts and really showing up in your life and following your passion. And I just love that. So it's a beautiful card, and definitely travel. I highly recommend it. I really think everybody should travel at least once after years of not traveling. It's like a life changer for me. So highly recommend that. And you definitely can break some ancestral curses, and you really learn stuff about yourself, honestly. So
So I had a few affirmations I wanted to share from the tarot cards. If you'd like to notate these in your journal or somewhere to use these, I think they'd be really helpful to assist in working with this reading and the energies that came through here. So the first one is, as the dreamer of my dream, I spontaneously and passionately ignite this flame. And then the second one is I choose who I am becoming and I run toward it with conviction and consistent motion. I love that. So Lish and I are going to draw a few cards here on the fly from some decks that we didn't bring with us for the actual reading pull. And I'm going to pass it on over to Lish and let her share her cards with you first.
Okay, so the first one I picked was number two, choice, life direction, flow, oh, how you respond, and consequences. So this is all about having choice in your life. You really get to choose the life that you live. Some people don't believe that, but it's so true. You get to choose every morning you wake up how your day is going to go. You can let things affect you, or you can flow with it and really choose to have joy and happiness, no matter what is going on. It brings a incredible peace to your life. So this is also about choosing what you want to do with the rest of your life. um, and then the next one I have is number 8, manifest magic. Weave your magic, miracles, understand manifestation. So to me, this is all about weaving your magic, bringing your passions to fruition, and it's you're gonna um I think it'll bring you great abundance, you know? So miracles ahead, and understand what you really want to manifest. Ask for what you want and you will have it. So,
Wow, those are pretty perfect with the reading. As usual, when we pull these cards at the end, it's not like a big surprise. So the cards that I pulled were, it's called Dominions, and it says face your own shadow. In order to contribute healing to the world and dispel the energy of darkness, you have to face the shadows of your own soul. So, this is just repeating again something that we've already brought up in the reading in regards to the importance of our shadow, in regards to the importance of working with that, reflecting on that, not being ashamed or guilty of that, and realizing the power behind it. The activation says, I am willing to light up all parts of myself. So, really being willing to face all parts. And like Lish said multiple times in the reading, take that mask off, y'all. It's time to be authentic. It's time to show up in our brightest light. We don't need to fear, what somebody's going to think of us or shining our light too brightly, or offending someone. Like, we are here to do this work. And sometimes that means triggering somebody. Sometimes that means shining too brightly for someone and they don't have to align with it. Not everyone is everyone's cup of tea. And that's part of what Lish and I really came to understand with doing our retreat and, working to not compare ourselves to others. Like, we're not trying to be a cookie cutter of someone else's retreat. We're trying to do our own thing, what we're being divinely guided to do. And the right people will show up for your offerings, for your creations. And so just keep being you, loves. And then the second card is the Air Guardian. It says, take time to breathe. Slow down and breathe. Take time to reflect before proceeding further. And it does say you are allowing your past experiences to influence your current behaviors, and there is another way forward. So stay high vibration in your actions and choices. Love is the way. I love this because it kind of talks a little bit about that card where we were talking about slowing down, stopping to smell the roses. Breath is so important. It's literally our life force. It's such a gift from God. It's a miracle how we all live and breathe. And so being able to slow down is also a way for us to move forward because it gives us clarity. It gives us time to receive, right, the divine messages, the visions, and even like what our body needs, if it just needs to rest and heal before we can take that action step. These are also really important. So going with the flow with that and honoring the divine timing of the different pieces and parts of the journey and what chapter we're on and what part of the spiral we're on. The activation says, I breathe with ease, knowing angels are with me. So y'all may have some angelic connections here. The winged ones, keep an eye out. They're always carrying messages. They certainly were supporting us through the Mother Tree Retreat, and Lish and I have very strong connections to the winged ones. Lish, do you want to add anything to those messages?
no, I think that's perfect. I loved every single one of them. I think I did look at the bottom of the deck and I had courage, that just basically things integrated woman and courage. So just
Mm,
more confirmation on, really believing in yourself and having the courage and, you know, step
I
into
love that.
who you are were meant to be or who you are now.
Yeah, and just another emphasis around that divine feminine energy that is coming through so strongly in this reading. Like it's really important to have balanced energy, but it feels like a really strong calling for that feminine, that passion, that intuition, that devotion, and that nourishing, nurturing aspect of creation, of being a mother, a mother to our creations. So that's really exciting.
Well, and I think a lot of people, not everyone, but I think a lot of people have had to be in a more masculine place for a while trying to survival mode. So I think it's really a time to come back into the feminine and live a different way because we're not supposed to be all, you know, divine masculine all the time. So,
Absolutely. And it almost becomes, at least speaking from my point of view, and I'm definitely that, I was in my masculine completely. It was a toxic masculinity. It wasn't even a balanced divine masculinity because we're overworking, we're underpaid, you know what I mean? We're doing too much and we're giving to everybody and our cup gets empty. And so it's really important to honor what it is on the feminine side of things to receive, to open up. And like we were talking about, let people help you, ask for help, and get into that receptive place where you can actually see the messages, the connections in that golden web, where we can see the magic, where we can receive the wisdom that's coming through even from our ancestral lineages and the earth. And there's so many places that we can be receiving from. And so just remembering to open up and allow that receiving, get that balanced receiving and giving. I think it's a part of abundance flowing, right?
mhm.
Yeah. Okay, lovely as well. We're so happy that you tuned in for the reading. We love bringing these to the collective. Definitely stay tuned for more. And yeah, we just love y'all so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
One love.